The World War I repatriation records held by the National Archives of Australia relate to service personnel, but also reveal the experiences of women and families. Letters from mothers, sisters, wives, doctors, charities, neighbours and employers provide this insight. Many servicemen return to Australia changed by the horrors of war. John Linton's sister Emily observed, "I met my brother on his return. He was not the same man." John suffered from shell shock and spent his life in and out of hospital. His condition placed a huge strain on the family. John's clinical notes described that his sister and brother were afraid of him and that he would throw his siblings and mother out of the kitchen. Women often took on the physical and emotional responsibility of caring for veterans suffering war-related injuries and illness. Rosalind Lording cared for her husband Roland, who endured 53 operations for war-related injuries. Roland, also known as Rolly, battled morphine addiction and alcoholism due to his ongoing pain. A business owner and a relative reported how sorry they felt for his children and his wife, who was almost worn out attending to him. Wives and mothers such as Rosalind Lording, who were dependent on an injured veteran, could be granted a partial pension by the Repatriation Department. Children and other dependents may have also received some entitlements. The difficult role of the carer went largely unrecognised by the authorities. Women often struggled to cope with little reprieve. Winifred Noble provided support and care for her husband Thomas. He returned from the war with physical injuries and in the early 1930s developed what we now know as post-traumatic stress disorder. Thomas's deteriorating mental health took its toll on Winifred, with her stating, "About this time I got a bit run down with worry and anxiety and went to see the doctor for a tonic for myself." On advice from the examining doctor, Thomas's mental illness was deemed unrelated to war service. He died in a civilian mental hospital in 1956. Winifred and others like her had to carry the stigma associated with their loved one dying in a mental hospital at this time. Winifred claimed the examining doctor never understood his case and his death was rejected as being due to war service. Widows were not automatically entitled to a pension when a veteran died post-war. Any such death had to be assessed to determine whether it was due to war service. If a widow remarried, any pension entitlements would stop. A woman's caring role at times extended to undertaking traditional male roles when these tasks became too much for a husband or male relative. William Kearsey, also known as Bill, suffered a severe facial wound during the war. His wife Verdon wrote to the Repatriation Department on her husband's behalf, explaining that he was unable to read anything or write letters. Verdon explained that she was struggling with ill health herself, but had to take on business duties her husband could no longer manage. Verdon described the situation as an endurance test instead of a pleasure. Women's role in repatriation was crucial, and at the time it was not known by the formal repatriation system just how central the role of women would be to the care of veterans. Learn more about the experience of women by researching the World War I repatriation records. Share your World War I research on Discovering Anzacs.